here on the 30th of October. Happy Sunday and happy Halloween to all of those as we're heading our way in towards November during a period of some spectacular weather that we've been seeing, especially this weekend in Southern Ontario and heading into this week. For those that don't know who I am a guy. No, I am a gardener, number one. I'm a man who's wild about weather, passionate about plants. My name, Frank Vergini, but known as Frankie Flowers, four-time best-selling garden author who joins you here weekly to kind of find out what's going on in your garden to help you. And as well, the community that we have alongside us really gets involved into the chats, involved into the comments, and will help you answer your questions alongside those questions I answer for you. This week, we're going to start it off with a little bit something different. We're going to start it off with a little bit of a how-to each and every week. I think that's what I'm going to do, is a little how-to off the top just to kind of stimulate thought. And one of the number one questions is not really a how-to, but it's a how often. And this is my anthurium that I've had for over a few years now. Beautiful plant. The question always is how often do you water your indoor plants? There you go. It's a pot inside a pot. Look, we got the whole camera moving there with us as well. So anthuriums. This is a beautiful plant, but most plants indoors do not want to sit overly wet. Now, I want you to really think about current daylight hours. Our days are getting shorter each and every day. So because the daylight hours are getting shorter, we're going to need to water these indoor plants less often, especially during the periods of now, all the way through till March, when our days start getting longer again. Of course, around December 21st, 22nd, is the shortest daylight hours of the year. The other factors when watering indoor plants is your pot size. What is the size of that container? Smaller pots dry out faster. Location, is it in a bright room or a dimly lit room? And a reminder, all plants need light. So those variables will play into how often do you water. And really every pot is different because every room is a little different with light. Every plant pot size is a little different and the requirements of plants are different. But the key is really, if you want successful indoor plants, is allow them to dry in between watering. And really the key is just really touching. And I can feel that this anthurium right now has a little bit of moisture within that pot. And if I look inside the pot, there's a little bit of moisture sitting in the base of that pot still. So this guy here, I will not water for today. If I saw that the pot itself felt dry, and then I looked into the base of the pot, there was no water there, and I even saw some of the leaves maybe drooping a bit, then I would water that plant. How often am I watering my anthurium right now? It's once every other week, so I'm only about twice a month. That's it. And some of the other plants that you have in your home might be once a month, but even smaller pots, maybe a little bit more frequent. And then, of course, things like cacti and succulents, even less, especially aloe vera. So there's a little bit of some of the good mornings. So let's give a little bit of a shout out here. It's best to cut. There's another question. Okay. Is it best to cut the grass with leaves on it and leave them there for the winter? Good morning, Frankie. This is from Robin. So, in order when you have your lawn, and we want to rake leaves off the lawn, and the reason why we want to get leaves off the lawn is we don't want them to mat down and then reduce the amount of oxygen and flow of light and moisture and nutrients to that lawn during the winter when snow gets on top. That matting will cause some dead patches to the lawn. However, if we go and use a mulching lawnmower blade and we go and cut the lawn with the leaves there, and we basically cut the lawn in those leaves so that the leaves pulverize to a really fine particle matter of yellow, where we still see the tops of the blades of the grass, that is completely fine. Because those blades, that mulched up leaf will break down and then actually add into the soil and help out. If you have a lot of leaves on your lawn, you will have to do some raking. If you don't have a ton of leaves on your lawn, you can just use the mulching lawnmower. But a really good question that's out there. Nancy says, good morning from Toronto. Good morning to you as well. Beautiful morning in Rosso. It has been so beautiful as we're watching the sunrise a little bit later. Yesterday, there was a fog here in Bradford, and I drove my son up to the greenhouse to my family business to go work alongside my dad. Yeah, it's kind of cool that that's happening, but the fog that we saw was unbelievable. And hey, just let you know, the poinsettias are getting into color. Hey, speaking about poinsettias in Christmas, I want to, first I'm just going to hide this. I want to do a little bit of a share my screen here. And what I want to show you guys is I want to show you this here. So the season's Christmas show is coming up. It's actually coming up November 11th and 13th, combined with the season's Christmas show is the Fall Cottage Life Show. So you get two shows for the price of one. So the Fall Cottage Life Show and the season show. I'll be speaking at the Fall Cottage Life Show on Friday, the season show on Sunday. If you want to win some tickets, I have 5 pairs of tickets to give away. And if you want to win those tickets, let's go back over here. What you do, yes, so what do you do to win those tickets? Sorry for this, I'm going to show you another Chrome tab that's here. What you do is you're going to go on to, this is my soft launch of my website, frankieflowers.com. Go on to frankieflowers.com. All you have to do is sign up for the newsletter. So sign up with your email and your first name. This is at the bottom of the website. So just go down to the bottom of the website, sign up for the newsletter. And if you sign up for the newsletter, that's your chance to win those 5 pairs of tickets to the Cottage Life Show. And I'll let you know as well. Next weekend on this podcast, well, this little Q&A that we do, I'll have some more tickets to give away. Okay. Okay. So we had, here we go. This is a question from Cheryl, I think. Sherilyn King. Hi, I was out of the country for the past month. Is it too late to put my fall fertilizer on? No, it's not. I would actually recommend putting your fall fertilizer on if you haven't. Usually around Thanksgiving weekend is the ideal time to put it. We have temperatures this week that are around 16 degrees as highs, and we're still going to see that breakdown in nutrient into the lawn, and that will mean the absorption of that nitrogen into the blades of grass. And the reason why we want the blades of grass to get a little bit more nitrogen is that will improve the amount of sugars to the blades of grass, so put more of a sugar compound into that blade. And by doing that, that creates a little extra insulation. This is some of the research and studies that have happened over the last few years with some of the turf management universities across the country and across North America. And that's why we now go to a higher nitrogen number in spring. Susan, good morning to my friend that's up there maintaining gardens in the Muskoka area. A big shout out as well this morning to Heather Fellows. Good morning, Frankie. Good morning to all. Lori Smith as well as saying good morning to all. A little bit about my own home garden. So yesterday I took the time to, well, earlier this week, I did a final harvest on all my tomatoes, my cherry tomatoes, and I have a boatload inside the house. I did some infused oils with some of the herbs that I had left over. I brought in my pot of rosemary that I'm going to be overwintering again. But yesterday I really did that cleanup. I went out to the troughs and I removed everything and put them into my composting bags and gave a really good cleanup, and then tucked away some of my tomato cages and tucked away some of my other supports, being my bamboo stakes and poles. Today, I'm going to continue to clean up the garden itself. I'm not going to prune back my limelights hydrangeas quite yet. I kind of like the dried flower heads that are there. I'm going to risk it. If I do see any heavy wet snow in the forecast, I will go out and prune those, because those big flower heads will actually bend over and break. With my lawn, I'm going to do a final cut for today as well, but I got to wait till the frost is off the lawn. And then this afternoon, I'm going to plant some daffodils. And the reason why I'm going to plant daffodils in my backyard is I find in early spring that yellow flower of a daffodil just makes me happy. So yellow and blue, for some reason, that's what I like to plant in spring months. I always like yellow and blue. And the reason being is the sky and the sun. That's always what I'm looking for in times of the spring months that are out there. Jane Elizabeth saying good morning from Ancaster this morning. Hello to you. We have another little good morning, beautiful Gravenhurst. Thank you for all you do, says Sandy Barnes. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. Good morning from Oakville. I was in Old Oakville just a few weeks ago, down to the older part of Oakville, where there's the historic homes that have the names and actually the years and even what the occupation that the people did. And the gardens down there are fantastic. The fall colors are amazing. Old Oakville, beautiful. Can I cut my clematis back now, or my clematis? If it's an early spring blooming, like a species variety of clematis, which is that smaller flower head, do not prune that now. If it's one that's going to be blooming more late spring, then you can prune them back right now. I would just prune them back maybe to about, so they're firm on the trellis that you have our support. So prune them back a third to half their size. And then in spring, what you'll do is you will additionally prune back any dead wood that you see that's on there. Clematis, beautiful, beautiful plant that blooms in full sun, but a reminder you need a shaded bottom on that. My good friend Ashley Brown. Hey, Ashley, when should we repot the anthurium? My leaves are not looking great, but it just flowered. Only water once every 2 to 3 weeks, but notice roots coming out of the ends. And it's been some time in the same pot for about a year. So indeed, if you have roots coming out of the base of a pot and you see that the plant is looking a little bit more weaker, not as vigorous, and a little sickly, then I would recommend repotting. To be truthful, I did some repotting yesterday. I repotted 2 of my spathiphyllums, my peace lilies. Ideally, I should have done that about a month ago, just because of a little bit more light levels for it. But yesterday was a beautiful day. And because it was such a beautiful day yesterday, I did all the repotting outside on my lawn, because then I could put all that dirt and mess and soil, and then I could leave the plants. And I left the plants outside during the day, watered them, let them just settle. And then just before the sunset last night, I brought them in. So I would really recommend for you to repot that anthurium. You're going to use a potting soil. You can see that this guy here is in a 6-inch pot. So what I would be doing is I would be repotting that into an 8 or 10-inch pot. Key about repotting a plant is you want to ensure the next pot that you have in it has good drainage holes in the bottom. If you're doing pot inside pot, that's what this is, pot inside pot. So this is capturing the excess water. If you're not doing that and you just have it in one pot, then we have to make sure we create drainage in the base of that pot by putting an area where water could sit and the roots of a plant will not sit within. So we could put crushed rocks in the bottom. We could actually put even styrofoam in the bottom, and then a little bit of a landscape fabric or filter cloth, and then the soil goes on top of that. Potting soil is what you need to use. Don't use a heavy soil on that as well. So once again, if you're seeing roots grow at the base of a plant, of a pot, you're seeing that plant look a little tired and weakly, and it's been in the pot for a few years or just over a year, depending upon the plant, then it will need to be repotted. Plants that don't like to be repotted, that like to have tight shoes, are aloe vera and as well as jade. Those are 2 plants that don't like to have tight pots out there. Christine. Good morning, Christine. Good morning from the Choisey, the Oshawa. We got Karen saying good morning, or Corinne saying that is good morning from around the corner in Cookstown. Really good. I love that people here as well are saying good morning, and also that they're saying good morning to each other as well. We have another good morning from chilly Northeast Ohio this morning. Bill, good morning to you as well. It's chilly here as well. We got some frost on the lawns here. It's something beautiful about that little layer of frost as the sun is rising, as you look to that fall garden. I actually think fall gardens are quite beautiful and sad at the same time. They're beautiful because they're kind of at their rate of maturity. They're near their end of this season, but they're sad because we're saying goodbye to another season. But what's really great is we say goodbye to one season as we look forward to the next, and look forward to what we can do better, what we can do differently, or what we can do the same, what worked. That's the key that's out there as well. Christine, hi, Christine from Curtis, Ontario. How does one keep ferns alive indoors through the winter? Great question, by the way. Okay. Am I looking centered? There we go. Just got to move that camera so that we're a little bit more centered. That's there. So as I have a little sip of coffee, everybody have a sip of coffee right now. Let's do it together. Cheers. Cheers to all of you. Okay. So ferns, a couple of different varieties of ferns that you have outdoors. You have your classic Boston fern, and then you have your Kimberly Queen ferns that are outside. Kimberly Queen ferns are a little bit more hardy. They're a smaller stem, almost like a smaller leaf bracket that comes out. Those guys there are best overwintered in a bright room that actually gets cooler at night. Boston ferns can be in a room that has indirect light. Indoors, though, it's really about the drier conditions, because now that our furnaces are coming on, that really impact that Boston fern. So what's key about even Kimberly Queen will benefit from this, but Boston ferns is the misting, the twice a week misting of that plant. What I would do is when you bring that Boston fern in, you're going to cut a bunch of any brown that's on there. You will have some browning leaves that happen due to an adjustment of light, but a reminder that Boston fern still needs light. So you need to put it in a room, not directly in front of a window. It could go into a room that is getting good light. It needs to have fairly good light overall. Are overwintering ferns easy? No, they're not, because just the lack of humidity that we have in our homes makes it very difficult. So you have 2 options. You can either mist or add a humidifier to the room. Adding a humidifier to the room will benefit all your indoor plants as well. It's going to benefit you because you won't have as dry of a home indoors. And those drier homes with that lack of humidity in the wintertime are really hard on us, even for breathing. So those are a few things that will maybe help you out there as well. We got hi Frankie, happy Halloween from Matthew, my good friend Matthew as well. That's out there this morning. We got another good morning that is from Wendy in Horseshoe Valley. Hope to get my way to Horseshoe Valley very soon when the snow flies. My boys are really, really looking forward to skiing this year. We got Lisa in Peterborough that's saying good morning to you as well. And then we got Bill from Northern Ohio, is in Northeast Ohio again. How do I keep deer from rubbing their antlers against damaging newly planted maple trees? So, of course, that's when they're rutting. That's when the buck deer is rutting. And that's usually where they're kind of trying to lay. Not only are they rubbing, they're usually going to the bathroom because that's when they're in a mating season. So there's a couple things that we can do is we can discourage them from those areas. Deer are very smell sensitive, so incredibly smell sensitive. So you can get coyote urine, and you can put droplets around those trees, those newly planted maple trees. That's one way that you can discourage them from being out of that area. Another way that you can discourage them is in the area is just hang some bars of dial soap if you have other mature trees around. That would be the smell of humans that you can discourage them away from. There is what's called animal begone. Animal begone is if something's chewing into the maple, the young maple, that will leave a residual taste. But for the rutting, we really want to discourage or scare the deer out of that area. So what don't they like to see? What they don't like to smell? What they don't like to hear? What they don't like to touch? What they don't like to taste? So they don't like to smell, see, or hear a predator. So I would really think about, and they really don't want to be dealing with coyotes. So coyote urine, anything that's going to even if you know that they're coming in at dawn and dusk, that's usually when they're coming into those areas. Sometimes even putting a radio on a timer can discourage them. Those are some ways that you can discourage them out of that area. Daffodils are beautiful. Jane, I agree. And why do I like daffodils over tulips? Daffodils are very easy, meaning when they, each and every year, they perennialize. I don't have to lift a daffodil. It'll actually perennialize on its own and actually start to double and split. It will help over a few years to lift them and divide them. Daffodils or narcissi are also poisonous to chipmunks and squirrels. So they tend not to touch their bulbs at all. They tend to leave them alone. So that's the reason why I love daffodils. And daffodils, of course, are really the symbol of cancer, of, Cancer Awareness Month that's going to happen in the spring. And with that, as many of you may know, and some may not, is that my brother passed to cancer in 1998. He was 22 years of age. He passed to a cancer called Ewing sarcoma. So anytime that I can think about hope and awareness and trying to help others, that to me is a good old daffodil that's out there. Good morning. We have another good morning this morning from Cookstown. I love ferns. Are they easy to keep? As I was saying, ferns are, they are difficult to overwinter. They're not impossible to overwinter, but the key is the dryness of your home. Adding humidity to your home will be key. Allowing them to dry in between waterings, even though they need humidity. That's the other thing. People think if a plant likes humidity, it must want to be moist all the time. No, it's just its foliage needs the moisture. Its roots like to be kept a little bit dry at times. So we still want to allow that fern to dry out, but we really want to mist that fern and or add a humidifier to your home. This is from Suzanne. I've never owned a mandevilla vines, but inherited two and bring them indoors. What is the best care for them indoors? So the mandevilla vine need bright light. So they don't need to be directly in front of a window, west or south facing window that are big windows that get bright light. The mandevilla will probably drop a lot of their leaves when you bring them indoors, adjusting to light. Suzanne, as you know, you want to try to make sure that there's no insects being brought indoors with them. So, doing a spraying of an insecticidal soap just before bringing inside, just like a bug be gone, that's going to be something to ensure that you're not bringing insects indoors. You're going to allow it to dry out in between waterings, very key. Do not fertilize at all until March. In March, if they're looking a little leggy, a little weak, give them a cutting back. You can cut them back by about a third. And any deadwood or stems that you're seeing during the winter season, you will have some dieback. You cut them back. Then in March, you're going to increase your watering, start fertilizing at that time. You can use an all-purpose fertilizer like a Miracle-Gro, and you're going to be fertilizing them once a month. And then when you start to put them outdoors, that's going to be for you near the end of May in the Muskoka region. Then you're going to put them outdoors in a nice sunny, bright sun location. When you're moving them outdoors in the spring, first put them into indirect light, and then slowly move them to higher light levels, so more and more light, so they don't get sun scorch. And there you go. Mandeville, beautiful plant that's out there. Good morning from Falls Rivers, Nova Scotia. Good morning to my friends in the East Coast this morning. Good morning to Port Perry, Ontario as well. Beautiful town as well that's out there. We have good morning from Oakville. What is the process to save tomato seeds? So the process of saving a tomato seed is basically you're taking that ripe, fully ripe tomato and you're pulverizing it, so to speak, where you're pulling the seeds out. You're pulling the seeds out of that fully ripe tomato, and then you're allowing those tomato seeds to dry. You can put that onto even a cheesecloth. If you just put them on top of a cheesecloth on a pan, a baking pan in the room where they're going to get adequate light, and we're just going to let that all dry. Once that dries down, we're going to try to pull any of that pulp that we have that you didn't get off the seeds, and then we're just essentially going to put them into a paper envelope. So you're just going to put them into an envelope. I have an envelope here. I should have an envelope. This one has a window, but really we're looking for a paper envelope. The reason why we're going to put them into a paper envelope is this will draw any additional moisture in. I'm going to put these into an area that's going to be dark. And if it's a little bit more on the cooler side, so a cool room, you're going to store them, and then you're going to be planting those seeds. Those seeds will be planted beginning of March is really the best way to do that. End of February, beginning of March indoors, and then you can have those seeds that you can enjoy for next year. So the process is actually quite simple overall. We have Susan Staples. They've been spectacular here in London. Didn't get that as much as in Windsor. So I wonder if she's commenting on the fall leaves. Fall leaves have been amazing. Interesting thing is I've been talking to some people that forage mushrooms, and it seems that in many locations in Ontario, the mushrooms, there haven't been that many mushrooms that they've been seeing. And the reason for that is that it was such a dry season. So that dry season, while it gave us some wonderful fall colors in Ontario, what it did do is it actually didn't allow for the formation of many mushrooms on the forest floor. That means that some of our forests, I'm hoping that we get some additional rainfall this coming fall, that is. And then I hope we do get a fairly good snow load this year, because that means we'll have moisture to support our native forests. Because our native forests right now are going into winter sitting pretty dry, which makes me concerned. Gifted hibiscus. Okay, with no tag. Still has flowers. Okay, Lisa-Ann, let's try to figure this out. Can this one overwinter in the garden? It probably will not overwinter in the garden. So if it's a Rosa Sharon, and I'll show you what a Rosa Sharon looks like, guys. These are the only ones that will, well, there's two. Rosa Sharon and then Diphlodenias. Rosa Sharon, let me do this. This is a variety of hibiscus that sometimes people will often call hibiscus. I'm just going to pull you up on my show screen here. I'm going to go up here, share the screen, go over here, share the tab, and go to my Google search just to show everybody. So this is a hardy hibiscus. This one over here, that one there doesn't look like a Rosa Sharon. So that's somebody who's calling it a Rosa Sharon, but it's not. But this is your classic Rosa Sharon. That's your hardy hibiscus. And that's as a shrub. That can overwinter here in Ontario. What cannot overwinter? Well, I'm going to show you another one that can overwinter, which is Diphlodenia hibiscus, which is, we're going to show you that guy right now. Oh, this one here. I'm going to pull up that. Sorry, and bear with me, guys, here. This is a variety of perennial hibiscus. I got to go over here. I'm going to go over here. So there are some perennial varieties of hibiscus. This is a perennial variety of hibiscus. This one here. That's what it's a bigger bloom, large leaf hibiscus. But most hibiscus plants are, and let me see if I can still use this as we go in here. I guess we can just go here. So I don't even know this. Boom. So I'm just going to do my searches. So this is what your classic hibiscus is. Here we go. Here's a great picture of classic hibiscus that's here. Mother Nature. So these are hibiscus, right? These are a classic tropical variety of hibiscus, which has a glossy leaf and has that classic plant that you often see if you think about California. That'd be the hibiscus. So if it's that hibiscus, it will not overwinter outdoors. It should come indoors, and that should be indoors. Same care as what I just went through with the mandevilla. Bright sunny room, allowed to dry in between waterings. Don't fertilize up until March. That's out there. But there are some perennial varieties of hibiscus that are available. Miriam says here, my clematis are still blooming. What sort of clematis are they? Late season blooming clematis. So there are clematis that will bloom late summer all the way through into fall, and you could still get some blooms right now. And that's amazing that they're still blooming at this time that's out there. Christine from Prince Edward County, good morning to you this morning as well. Heather, I'm looking forward to the BT Breakfast Halloween show on Monday. You're going to like it. That's tomorrow morning. We're going to be doing that on Breakfast Television. For those that don't know, you can join me each and every morning, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. on City TV's Breakfast Television, where I'm wild about weather all the time. I give garden advice on the show as well. And tomorrow will be our Halloween special. Coming up on December the 16th as well, we will be doing a live broadcast at the Sheridan Center. That'll be on the morning, and you have the ability to stay over the 15th and even the 16th at a preferred rate. So if you're thinking about joining and want to meet me or anybody on Breakfast Television, that's a great way to do so. So come on and join us. Look to Breakfast Television's website, and you can find out more information that's there. Good morning from Morpeth, Ontario. Morpeth, Ontario. Monica, I don't know where that is. I'm going to have to look that up there, by the way. Here's another question that we have this morning, and this is from Napata, or Napat. Hey, hi, Frankie. I planted saffron bulbs, which is crocus, that were not supposed to sprout till spring. However, I have 3 sprouted already. Should I bring the container inside or wrap it up outside? Thank you so much. What I would do is I would sink that container into the ground. Take the container and plant it in pot and all into the soil, and it'll be fine. It'll adjust itself quite easily. There are fall blooming crocuses that are out there. So saffron. So saffron, of course, is crocus. It's the little, it's amazing how much, that's why saffron's so expensive, because they have to collect the little stamen of the crocus to get saffron from it. But there are some fall blooming. So I'm hoping that's just not a fall blooming one, a variety that you did receive. Michelle. Good morning to Michelle as well. She's saying good morning to everybody. I'm going to go here. Good morning this morning as well. From Mississauga, I have a large African violet. Beautiful. That is in constant bloom, but feels like it needs a larger pot. I don't know how to do it without damaging the leaves on the bottom that are hanging over the pot. Suggestions. So first off, the African violets, for those that they're an easy indoor plant to grow, or fairly easy, that will give you constant flower during the darker periods of time, being the winter months. So African violets are a wonderful plant. The key with an African violet, if you're just thinking about general care, is they never want to be watered with cold water or warm water. They always want room temperature water. That's one of the keys with African violets. When repotting an African violet, there are formulated soils for African violets. So you want to look for an African violet soil. Miracle Grow has one. Other companies out there have one as well. So you're looking for an African violet soil. When you're repotting, those leaves that are hanging over the sides are actually little baby plants. So you can actually separate those out if you wish and create additional African violets. I wouldn't be too worried because they'll be fine overall, but you may want to remove those. So when you're repotting, actually, I'm going to look up something here. African violet. Are those? Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And we found you. This is a great little website too as well. So where are we going to go here? I'm just going to go on here. So I'm going to get you to go here. So I'm going to show you guys on, I got to go back over here and go on to share my screen again. And we're going to go on to Chrome tab and we're going to go to share. Oh, sorry. I want to go to, where am I here? This is where I want to go. I'm going to go share. So this website here is babyviolets.com. This is a really good little website. When and how to divide and separate African violet babies from their mother leaves. This will give you a little bit of some really detailed information all about the main mother and the little babies. So you can see the baby plant-like clusters right here in these photos. And so what I'm assuming is that you have a large mother plant in the center, and then everything that's hanging around the outside of that pot are probably little babies. those little babies are easily removed. And then by removing those, when you go to repot the big mama, you're going to have a whole bunch more African violets. And with that, you'll be able to share some African violets to some friends that are out there. So once again, that website is babyviolets.com. So check out that website, and that will assist you on that question that you have there as well. So I'm going to take one more question, and then we're off to your Sundays, guys. When do I trim back my perennial hibiscus? You can trim back your perennial hibiscus after it finishes bloom period into the fall. It's a late season bloomer, so it doesn't bloom on new wood. It doesn't bloom on old wood, forgive me. It blooms on new growth. So it's maybe still blooming at this current time, but after a few frosts, I would then prune it back right to the ground. I would leave, actually, instead of pruning it to the ground, always leave about 6 to 8 inches of growth, and do that on most perennial plants if you can. You can't do that on hostas, but on other harder wood stems, you can. That way, when the snow blows and the snow moves around, it'll actually catch and collect around the base of that hibiscus. Snow around the base of any perennial plant provides moisture in early spring, but also in the winter provides insulation. So it actually helps the plant out. For all those that joined me today, once again, guys, have a great day. You can see me tomorrow morning on our Halloween show on Breakfast Television. What will I dress up as? You'll have to wait and see. For all those enjoying Halloween today and enjoying their family, make sure you guys have a great day. Keep blooming, keep being you. It's always a pleasure to be here. And, I feel that gardening is a great thing, Also, check out frankieflowers.com. It's a soft launch of the website. If there's anything that you do or do not like, email me, frankie@frankieflowers.com. And I want to improve that website, and I want to make it the best ever to help all of you. Have a great Sunday, everybody.